60 gigawatts, 300 billion kilowatt hours a year. Enough electricity to run the entire United Kingdom. China is carving the most powerful power station in human history into the deepest canyon on Earth, and the river it controls feeds 130 million people in another country. But here's the part almost nobody mentions. This dam may barely hold back any water at all. And that single design choice changes the entire argument. The project is called the Medog Hydropower Station. Construction began on the 19th of July, 2025, when Premier Li Qiang stood in Ningxi, Tibet, and called it the project of the century. The price tag, 1.2 trillion yuan, roughly $167 billion. For comparison, the Three Gorges Dam, the project China called the megaproject of its generation, has an installed capacity of 22.5 gigawatts. Medog is planned for 60, triple the output. And it is not one dam, it is 5 cascading down a single stretch of river, managed by a state company created specifically to build it, China Yajiang Group. Commercial operation is targeted for 2033. To understand why China picked this spot, you have to understand the Great Bend. The Yarlung Tsangpo runs east across the Tibetan Plateau for more than 1,000 kilometers. Then it hits the mountain Namcha Barwa, makes a violent U-turn, and falls 2,000 meters in the space of 50 kilometers. That drop is the entire point. In hydropower, what generates electricity is not how much water you have. It is how far it falls. 2,000 meters of vertical drop packed into 50 kilometers of gorge is one of the richest concentrations of untapped hydropower energy anywhere on the planet. So the engineering answer is elegant and brutal. Instead of flooding the valley behind a wall of concrete, engineers plan to drill straight through the mountain, diverting river water into tunnels that bypass the U-turn entirely, dropping it through turbines and returning it to the river downstream. That is why the reservoirs here are small. This is a diversion scheme, not a giant bathtub. So why now? Because China's electricity demand is being reshaped by computing. The country's computing infrastructure alone was projected to consume around 360 billion kilowatt hours a year by 2025, with fifth-generation mobile networks adding another 140 billion on top. Artificial intelligence, cloud computing, advanced manufacturing, all of it needs power that is constant. Solar and wind do not deliver constant. Hydro does. Medog plugs directly into a strategy China has run for decades called west-to-east power transmission. Build generation in the resource-rich west, ship it to the industrial east on ultra-high voltage lines. Tibet has been feeding that system since 2015, but in 2024, Tibet exported only about 1.8 billion kilowatt hours to the rest of China. Medog is designed to produce 300 billion. Now the problem. The moment the Yarlung Tsangpo leaves Tibet, it becomes the Brahmaputra. It flows into India's Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, then into Bangladesh as the Jamuna. More than 130 million people downstream depend on that basin for irrigation, fishing, and drinking water. India's Ministry of External Affairs formally objected in January 2025. There is no water-sharing treaty between China and India on this river. And China stopped sharing Brahmaputra flow data with India after the 2020 standoff. The chief minister of Arunachal Pradesh called the project a potential water bomb. China's response is the design itself. Run-of-river, minimal storage, sovereignty over its own territory. And technically, that argument holds. A diversion scheme genuinely cannot hoard a river the way a storage dam can, but it can still control timing. Release schedules during a dry season or during a monsoon still matter. And downstream governments have no treaty, no data, and no seat at the table. Then there is the ground itself. This canyon sits where the Indian and Eurasian plates are actively colliding. It is seismically live and geologically unstable. In March 2021, a collapsing glacier caused a slope failure that temporarily blocked the river entirely. No dam required. So, masterpiece or disaster? Here is the honest read. On engineering, Medog is not reckless. The diversion design is smarter and less destructive than a conventional mega reservoir, and the case for the site is genuinely strong. The risk is not the concrete, it is the politics. A project this powerful on a river this contested with no treaty and no data sharing means 130 million people downstream have to simply trust decisions they cannot see. Medog will probably work. That was never really the question. 1 year of construction is done, 7 to go, and Medog is not the only one. A 2,000-kilometer railway is being pushed into Tibet at 5,400 meters. Mumbai is building 5 megaprojects at the same time. Saudi Arabia is still trying to build a city in a straight line. I cover one of these properly every week. Numbers checked, claims dropped when they do not hold up, no hype. If you want to actually understand what gets built this decade and what quietly gets canceled, subscribing is how you catch the next one. And if you want the clearest example of a mega project that promised the world and delivered a construction site, that video is on screen now.